Hi, Cody here, and today I'm gonna talk about how I mix my drums. So this is my drums with the processing off, and I'm using GGD P4 for the shells and GGD Architects for the cymbals. You can see the raw tones are very powerful, but I'm gonna make it more powerful to fit into a modern Easycore or pop punk or metalcore mixes. And this is with the processing on. Yeah, as you can hear, it is more hi-fi, and I think it sounds pretty sick. I'm gonna talk about kick first. I will bypass drum bass process and the shell bass process for now, and leave that for later. And this is my raw kick sounds like. And I will EQ it first. I think there's too much mid frequency going on, and I will carve out some 300 and carve out some 120 to leave it more space for the snare and the bass. And I will carve out some unwanted click. Here it is 1K and 1.6K, and I will high pass around 12K to leave the space for vocals and cymbals. Then I usually will compress it. This is Conef Audio's punch-out compressor. I just adjust the threshold and attack and release. And usually I will use 4 to 1 or 5 to 1 to compress the shells. And I usually found attack around 10 milliseconds to 30 milliseconds is a good point for compressing kick and snares. And release is usually around 100 milliseconds to 150 milliseconds. On kick, I usually do about 3 to 5 gain reduction. Then I will EQ more high end into my kick. I'm using Protec to EQ a 12K by 1 dB. Then I will EQ it more to fit into mix. Here I'm cover some mid frequency around 220 and 130 and adjust the click. I want more 2.5 click and this 2000 metalcore 6K 7K in my click. So that's my kick processing. Then snare. This is my raw snare. Usually I will cover some unwanted low mid here, usually around 300 400, and I will boost 100 and low pass at 80 to cut unwanted low frequency, and I will cut the low mid rings and boost on high end, and as I said before, low pass around 12K and cover some snare wire around 3 to 5K. Then I will compress it. I just put the settings on kick to snare, and it is doing 10 to 20 gain reduction. Usually I won't go past 7, but it works. And I adjust the attack to make it 20 milliseconds and pull back the release to make it 130 milliseconds. Then I find it too pokey, so I pull out the transient designer to reduce the attack. And because I compressed and saturated with the compressor, so I will cover out some low mid ring more. And I find the fundamental frequency is too much, so I cut it here. Then I use the L1 limiter to make it even less pokey, and I'm doing input shape punches. It is basically doing saturation, so it is what it sounds like. And there are two reverb. This is mono reverb to make it even better. And this is a normal plate reverb, I believe, and it's make it even wider. Then usually I will mix my toms last, so I will mix the overhead first. it is with the processing on, and I will bypass the processing for now. Since I'm using one GGT premix library, the GGT architects, so I will divide the shell and symbol overhead to two bus, and I'm gonna talk about the shell bus now. Usually I will do the same high pass on my room track and my overhead track. This processing is to simulate what I will usually do on a normal overhead bus, but this is only shell overhead. So I'm carve out 380 to make it less boxy, and I'm high passing around 280 to cover the unwanted low end. And usually with cymbals, you will find the 6K range is very harsh, so I cover out 6K here by 6 dB and cover out some 1.3 to make it thinner. And I'm also using Poncho compressor, the cymbal control preset, and adjust the threshold and attack. Attack here is 10 milliseconds and release is 150 milliseconds, using 2 to 1 ratio to even out the attack. Mainly is stuck in the snare, and I'm using Protec to boosting 16K by 3.5 dB. And last but not least, I'm using the Cornef L1 limiter and using the saturation mode and bright input to make it even brighter. The point here is to duck down the snare attack. Usually with my mixes, tom attack usually comes with both the shell overhead and the tom direct. I will show that later. And with my cymbal overhead, I'm only doing tiny adjustments because the library is pre-mixed. So here is what it sounds like with the processing on. And with processing off, not much differences. And on my overhead bus, I only carving out some 3K and 6K to make it less harsh. Not that much difference. Then I'm gonna mix my room, and with my room, usually I will cover some unwanted low frequencies and doing some high pass and cover some frequency at 3K and 6K and boosting some high end to make it even brighter. This is with the processing off and with processing on. As you can hear, it's a lot thinner and there's no processing on the simple room mic. And usually on room bus, I will low pass as I did before, and I will compress it with the talk barrel limiter. I didn't touch the distortion trim, and I adjust the low pass to 20K, so it is doing nothing. Yeah, as you can hear, the sustain is even longer, and I carve out some harsh frequency around here, 4K and 1K to make it in the back. Yeah, and reverb. Here I'm using the Connect Audio reverb again. I think this is pretty great. Yeah, just make the room feel bigger, and this is with the reverb only. And the tail is pretty long. And that's basically my processing on the drums. Oh, and toms. This is with the processing on and with processing off. First of all, I will usually cut some mid and low mid. Yeah, I'm carving out like 9 dB around 300 and 5 dB at 800, and usually I will high pass around 50 Hz and use 2K shelves, low pass around 12K. The difference is quite huge. And EQ more high end into my toms. Yeah, here I'm using Project to boost 12K by 4.5 dB. And I will limit it using L1 again. Here I'm using the saturation mode and bright switch on again, so this is to make it even brighter. And I will use the UAD play reverb to make it bigger. And with my toms, the click usually comes with both the tom bus processing and the overhead. So I will show you the differences. Without the shell overhead. Yeah, the difference is huge. And I will show you the processing on the shell bus. This is to make it fight how bright the symbol and room is. I'm boosting 12K by 1.5 dB. Not a huge differences though. And on my drum bus, I will EQ out some junk below 20 Hz. And with this EQ, I'm carve out some 360 by 1 dB. I think that frequency is the junk on the drum. You don't want that frequency on your kick, your snare, and your tom, and your overhead, even in your room. And I'm boosting 110 by 1 dB. This is final move in my mixes to make the kick and tom fight the bass. And I'm boosting 12K by 2 dB. The differences is huge. And this is my drum bus compressor. I copied this from Will Yip. You can see how he used the distressor on his drum bus. The attack is between 7 and 8 and release is between 3 and 4, and I didn't touch all these buttons. And I'm using a little bit saturation here and the mix is full. The difference is huge, and I'm compress it even more. I'm using the Softube 1176 to even out the attack, so you can see the attack is in the middle and the release is fast and around 15% width. Yeah, to make it even more compressed and make it less pokey. And I'm using the flatline to cut out some pokiness of the drum bus. I'm doing a 9.2 dB of gain reduction, but it doesn't sound bad though. And you can hear it changes the tone of the kick and snare, but not in a bad way, so I quite like it. And that's all on my drum mixing tutorial, and I hope you like it.